तीन को स्वरूप जानी रागते भई जो भक्ति काय को नमाय स्तुति को उच्चारी है। धन्य धन्य तुम्ही से काज सब आज भयो कर चोरी बारंबार वंदना हमारी है। मंगल कल्याण सुख ऐसो हम चाहते हो मेरी ऐसी दशा जैसी तुम धारी है। हो मेरी ऐसी दशा जैसी तुम धारी है। So last week we were doing Vitrag Vigyan 1 and we have completed the first chapter. Today we will be continuing that with the second chapter, Soul and the Supreme Soul. In Hindi it is called Atma or Paramatma. This particular piece is adapted from Muniraj Yogindu Dev. Muniraj Yogindu Dev's work, Paramatam Prakash and Yogsar. Two very famous spiritually inclined books, Adhyatam book, Paramatam Prakash and Yogsar. In both the scriptures, he has emphasized heavy weightage on being a Paramatma. So that's why this chapter is all about Atma and Paramatma, soul and the Supreme Soul. So by nature, we are all Supreme Soul. But in the present modification, we have some impurities. So to get rid of those impurities, to eliminate those impurities, we have to take shelter in our soul. Taking shelter in our soul means we need to believe that we are Paramatma. So when we believe that we are Paramatma, automatically the modification transforms. Earlier it was looking outside external objects for his happiness. And now that same modification is bound inward. And when it is bound inward, it connects with our soul. And when it connects with our soul, then the self-realization, pure manifestation manifest. And when this happens, the path of liberation begins. It is also called Samyak Darshan or the right belief. And with this right belief, the path of liberation begins. So it is very important, this chapter, because here it establishes that each and every soul is Paramatma. By nature, they are Paramatma. And we need to believe that. And once we believe that, we also become Paramatma in our modification. So at the substance level, we are all Paramatma, but at the modification level, we need to travel this journey from a mundane existence, from a deluded soul to an enlightened one, Samyak Drashti, right believer, and that's where our journey starts. So we first need to decide on what we want to achieve in this life. And to decide that, this chapter guides us that where you should begin from. So, very important chapter in the path of liberation. And this is adapted from the scripture Paramatam Prakash and Yogsar, both written by Muniraj Yogindu Dev. He was a great spiritual poet of Upbranch. At that time, the language that was being used was Upbranch. He has been remembered by different names, example Yogindu, Yogindra. Can you share, Jia? So this is the our textbook. The spiritual poet of Abhapransh. He has been remembered by different names. Example Yogindu, Yogindra. The Sanskrit translation of Yogindu of Apabransh, Joindu, and not Yogindra appears to be correct. So generally, Yogindu Dev is this name is more popular. There are different opinions about his time also. His time is regarded as from the 6th to the 11th century. So from 6th to 11th century, it's a long period, but our acharyas and Muniraj never writes anything about themselves. So it is very difficult for the historians and the research people to establish at what time he was here in this Bharat Kshetra. So by different estimates that are available through his works and other references, uh, his time is regarded between 6th to 11th century. Not a particular time period, but a long time period of 500 years. He was there somewhere here in between. Because there are different opinions. So when there are opinions are divided, this kind of statements do come. The effect of Kunkund is apparent on his writings. Yogindu has taken much from Kund. Samadhi Satak of Pujyapat and Paramatam Prakash of Yogindu have closed similarity of ideas. So, when they are close to some Muniraj means when they follow that Muniraj's work. So Kunkund Acharya has written the 5 famous scriptures called Panch Parmagam. And these are Samaisar. In fact, first to be written was Pravachansar, then Samaisar, Niyamsar, Astapahud, and Panchastikai. These 5 works of Kunkund Acharya are very famous. And Yogindu Dev must have studied this at least Samaisar, Pravachansar, and Niyamsar of Kunkundacharya Dev. And these are all ideas all reflected in Yogsar scripture. And the other one, Paramatam Prakash, has a close resemblance with Pujyapat Swami's Samadhi Shatak. Pujyapat Swami has written long commentary on Tattvat Sutra also. His works, Paramatam Prakash and Yogsar, are imperishable stores of his glory. In these works, he has described the deep mysteries of the soul in simple and natural language of the common folk. This lesson has been prepared on the basis of these works of the great poet. So you see, this is what we know about Yogindu Dev. But nevertheless, if you study his scriptures, you will realize that he was an enlightened soul and he was always high on spiritual. He was very high on his spiritual concepts, and he establishes that every soul is a supreme soul. प्रत्येक आत्मा परमात्मा है, आत्मा ही परमात्मा है. So from a mundane existence to become a Paramatma. Paramatma means Arhant Avastha, 13th stage, 13th stage of spiritual development. So when that stage is achieved, the same soul is called a Paramatma. So this is a conversation between Prabhakar, the great disciple of Yogindu Dev, and Yogindu Dev. This is written in that format. So we will first read the chapter and then I will explain. So Nilesh, you read the chapter.
Thank you, Pranam, Jajananda. I'll start on O my spiritual preceptor, please explain to me the nature of the soul and the supreme soul. You told us yesterday that the soul is unhappy, having forgotten itself. O Prabhakar Bhata, disciples like you alone have the craving to know the secrets of the soul. Those who hear about the nature of this sentient soul with joy attain complete liberation of the soul in a short time. There is no other reality than the knowledge of the self. The sentient living substance is the soul. From the point of view of different manifestations, it is three kinds: extrovert, introvert, and thirdly, supreme soul. Who is an extrovert? One regarding one's body as one's soul and accepting other objects and attachments as one's own is an extrovert. He is ignorant and devoid of the consciousness of the soul. Because he regards the other objects as one with his soul, he is called an extrovert. Since infinity, this being has been regarding the birth of the body as the birth of the soul and its demise as its death. Those related to his body are regarded as his own. As long as this mistake continues, that being is called an extrovert or being with wrong faith. We should disregard this state of an extrovert. This is all right, but one should become an introvert, discarding the state of an extrovert. One who accepts and experiences the soul as a distinct from body and other such things and knows it as sentient and blissful by virtue of the power of making distinctions is an introvert. That sentient being alone is an introvert. Accepting the soul alone as his and no other material object or idea, he is regarded as an introvert. The introverts are of three kinds: the high introvert, the medium introvert, and the low introvert. Devoid of all external and internal possessions, passionless monks engaged in the pursuit of self in the 12th scale of spiritual progress are the high introverts. Beings having correct faith but without any specific vows of conduct in the 4th scale of the pursuit of the soul are the slow introverts. Midway between the monks and the householders of the 5th scale, having some vows, are the medium introverts. What are the merits of being an introvert? This very introvert, leaving the household, adopts monkhood with all inclinations towards the spiritual pursuit. Trying to realize the self, attains godhood and accomplishes infinite perception, infinite consciousness, infinite bliss, and infinite strength. It means this introvert, by dint of personal effort, attains godhood. What are the merits of godhood? Every soul wants to be happy. Bereft of all restlessness, God is infinitely happy. Gods are of two kinds: gods having human form and gods without form. Those arhantas who have eliminated the 4 destructive karmas are gods with human form. And those who have no karmas left and no forms are the siddhas, the completely liberated souls. Extroverts are treading upon the worldly path, and therefore their position is undesirable altogether. Introvert is on the path to liberation, and as such, his position is from some point of view desirable. Godhood, being the above sensual attachments and full of bliss without the existence of our senses, is all desirable. Everybody should therefore willingly discard the state of an extrovert and, becoming an introvert, attain the status of supreme godhood.
So, from the point of view of modification, there are 3 types of soul: extrovert, introvert, and supreme soul. So from the beginning itself, the soul is an extrovert, Bahir Atma. What does this extrovert believe? It is also called outer soul, extrovert or outer soul, Bahir Atma. Who is this, an extrovert? The one who regards body and the soul as one entity. And he regards the body and the other association that he has acquired in this life as his own. He also believes that the toxic emotions that are manifesting are his, or he is itself, he himself is those toxic emotions. So these are all the wrong belief of a soul, and because of that he is called an extrovert. Of course, he is ignorant and he is suffering from delusion. And because of delusion, he is not able to identify himself. Because he regards other objects as one with his soul, he is called an extrovert. Since infinity, since eternal, this being has been regarding the birth of the body as the birth of the soul and its demise as its death. So, because he believes that the body belongs to him, the soul believes the birth of the body as his own birth and the death of the body as his own death. But in reality, the soul is eternal. He is devoid of birth and death. But because of delusion, this soul believes that he has a birth and he dies. Those related to his body are regarded as his own. As long as this mistake continues, that being is called an extrovert or being with wrong faith. So this was all about an extrovert. Now, who is an introvert? So when this extrovert, having that wrong belief, transforms himself, changes his belief, and acquires the right belief, then he becomes an introvert. So this introvert believes that soul and body are 2 different entities. Soul is having consciousness, whereas body is not having any kind of consciousness. So one should become an introvert, discarding the state of an extrovert. That means that soul who is an extrovert now should transform himself and become an introvert. Once he becomes an introvert, he is an enlightened soul and he perceives and sees things in the right perspective. One who accepts and experiences the soul as distinct from the body and other things, such like things, and knows it. So one who accepts and experiences the soul as distinct from body and other such like things and knows it as sentient and blissful by virtue of the power of making distinction is an introvert. So could you take it just slightly upper side, Jia? Yeah, slightly more. Yeah, so I am here. By virtue of the power of making distinction is an introvert. So the introvert knows what is self and what is non-self. He can make a distinction between the two. And since he can make a correct distinction, he is the introvert. That sentient being alone is an introvert, accepting the soul alone as his own and no other material object or idea, he is regarded as an introvert. The introvert are of three kinds: the high introvert, the medium introvert, and the low introvert. Better words would be so same high antaratma, madhyam antaratma, and jaganya. Jaganya is low, madhyam is medium, and utkast is high antaratma. So now, whom you would regard as high, whom would you regard as medium, and whom would you regard as low? So the definition follows: devoid of all external and internal possessions, passionless monks engaged in the pursuit of self in the 12th scale of spiritual progress are the high introverts. So, from 4th to 12th, okay, there are mixed manifestation. Some part of the modification is pure and some part is impure. Both goes on simultaneously. So from 4th to 12th, they are into this mixed kind of sentiments. So the one who is having the 12th stage, the monk who is having this 12th, attend the 12th stage, have become fully passionless, are the high introvert. Okay, they have completely eliminated the passion. Beings having correct faith but without any specific woes of conduct. In the fourth stage of spiritual development are the low introverts. So the person having in the 12th stage of spiritual progress is the high introvert, and the one who is having the 4th stage without any woes is the lowest introvert. In between is the medium introvert. Midway between the monks and the householder of the 5th scale, having some woes, are the medium introverts. So from 5th to 11th stage, we can call as medium introvert. So initially he was extrovert. From extrovert, he became an introvert. And now from introvert, he will become a supreme soul. So this is the whole journey. First, we must know what are the merits of being an introvert. So this very introvert leaving the household adopts monkhood with all inclinations towards the spiritual pursuit, trying to realize the self, attains godhood, and accomplishes infinite perception, infinite consciousness, infinite bliss, and infinite strength. So it is also called infinite knowledge. Consciousness is knowledge. Infinite perception is quite okay. Then there is infinite bliss and infinite power or strength. So when these are achieved, he becomes a god. And that is the 13th stage of spiritual development. Okay. In the 12th stage, starting with the 4th stage, in the 4th stage, he becomes an enlightened soul, but having no restraints. Then he achieves, with further practice of distinctive knowledge, he achieves the 5th stage of spiritual development. At this stage, he becomes a Sravak or a householder, and he has done partial restraint. He has achieved partial conduct, we can say. Then, with further practice, he becomes a monk. That is the 6th and 7th stage. And 7th onwards, it is all pure modification, Shuddhopyog, and up to the 11th stage, he is a medium antaratma. 12th stage, he becomes the highest antaratma. And 13th stage, he becomes a Paramatma or a god. This very introvert living the household adopts monkhood with all inclination towards the spiritual pursuit, trying to realize the self, attains the godhood, and accomplishes infinite perception, infinite consciousness, infinite bliss, and infinite strength. It means that this introvert, by dint of personal effort, attains godhood. Now, when he becomes a god, what are the merits? Every soul wants to be happy, bereft of. Just take it further up. Yeah. Yeah.
The other way.
1 minute. Next page. Sorry. Down.
I think page 12. We want to go to page 12.
Yeah. 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 So when he becomes the high introvert, the next stage comes is the 13th stage, and there he gets rid of 4 obscuring karmas and manifest infinite perception, infinite consciousness, infinite bliss, and infinite strength. Now he becomes a god in the 13th stage. So what are the merits of godhood? Every soul wants to be happy. We are on page 11 now. Yeah, but that's much. So every soul wants to be happy. Bereft of all restlessness, God is infinitely happy. So when he attains the 13th stage, it is all very stable. There is no restlessness. Gods are of two kinds. So these gods are of again two kinds. Gods having body or the human form, and gods without any body or human form. Those arhantas who have eliminated the four destructive karmas are gods with human form. He is still having a body, but he has attained godhood, and he has manifested those four qualities by destroying the four destructive karmas. And those four qualities are infinite knowledge, infinite perception, infinite bliss, and infinite strength or power. And those who have no karmas left, they have destroyed all the karmas, and no forms are the siddhas. So they don't have the body and they are completely liberated soul. These are called siddhas or the liberated soul. So these gods are of two kinds, one with body and one without body. So this liberated soul or siddhas are without body, and the one with body is the Arhanta Paramatma. But both are Paramatma anyways. Extroverts are treading upon the worldly path, and therefore their position is undesirable altogether. Introvert is on the path to liberation, and as such, his position is, from some point of view, desirable. Godhood being above sensual attachments and full of bliss without the existence of senses is all desirable. Everybody should therefore willfully discard the state of an extrovert and become an introvert and attain the status of supreme godhood. So this chapter establishes the fact that every soul who is an extrovert now can become an introvert, and after becoming an introvert can become God also. So we are all soul, and each soul can become a supreme soul. There is an inherent capacity in every soul to become an supreme soul. So by nature, we are all supreme soul, but in modifications, we have impurities, and when we remove those impurities and become fully pure, then we have become supreme soul in the modification. So the nature of the soul is supreme by itself, and it does not require anything to be done. But when we look at the modification, there are impurities, there are blemishes, and by taking shelter in the self, we can remove those mistakes and those blemishes, and we can become God. We can also become God. So this chapter establishes this fact that each soul can become a supreme soul, and so we must strive to become a supreme soul. That is our ultimate target, that is our aim, that is our goal, to become a supreme soul. So it is very important that we establish in the beginning itself what we want to become. And once we have that vision in our mind, we traverse the path as shown by our omniscience. And when we walk on that path, we follow their instructions, we also become Supreme Soul one day. So whatever we do, we should have this thing in mind that we want to become Paramatma at any cost. At any cost means any cost. So we'll have challenges in our life, and we will have some adverse events happening in our life, but still we should stick to our path. We should not deviate from the path, and it's very natural to have challenges in life, and we have our soul as our support, and when we take refuge in our soul, all the problems, all the adverse situations disappears. So we have got a support or base that we are all pure soul, and starting from here we begin our journey and attain Godhood in the modification that is the ultimate destination. So this chapter creates a blueprint for our path of liberation, where we are going to begin and where we are going to end. So we begin with ignorance and delusion, and we end up being passionless and God. So this is the journey that everyone wants to traverse and become infinitely happy. Okay. Ananta Gyan, Ananta Darshan, Ananta Sukh, Ananta Virya. So these are the four qualities that get completely manifested, and that is where the 13th stage of spiritual development, and that is the stage of God or a Paramatma. So this is the whole journey. If you have any questions or doubts, you can ask right now. Otherwise, we'll move on to the next chapter.
Rajeshji,
Yeah.
I have heard that a soul can go from fourth stage to fifth to sixth to seventh, and then it can go back to fourth as well. Is that true?
Yes, up to 11th stage. If you so there are two types of ladders of spiritual advancement. One is called Shapak Shreni, wherein you at every stage you destroy some sort of karmas completely. Okay. And then there is another stage called Upsham Sreni. Upsham Sreni means the karmas are not completely eliminated, but it is subsided. Okay. So when you travel through that journey of subsided passions, then the karmas are subsided and it is not destroyed. So you could reach up to the 11th stage, and from 11th stage you fall back and you can come back to the first stage also. So until and unless you attain the 12th stage, there is every chance of falling back. Okay. Even from 10th, you can fall back. Even from 11th, you can fall back. But once you attain the 12th stage of spiritual development, which is called also the Gunasthan, 12th Gunasthan, then you don't fall back. Then you move to the next stage, the 13th stage, and then the 14th stage, and then you get liberated.
Thank you.
Anything else?
An extrovert is called Bahiratma.
Yeah.
And in what is an introvert called in Hindi?
Antaratma.
Okay.
Bahiratma, Antaratma, and Paramatma.
Okay.
Extrovert, introvert, and supreme soul.
Got it.
So extrovert is also called outer Atma. Introvert is also called inner Atma. And Paramatma is, of course, the supreme soul.
And which is the best one to be in the Manushya Kal?
So right now, at least you can become, if you are a male, you can become a monk. If you are a female, you can become an Arjika. An Arjika is in the 5th stage of spiritual development, and monk can achieve the 6th and the 7th stage of spiritual development. So these are the highest stages presently available. But if you go to Mahavidya Kshetra now, you can become a monk and attend the 13th stage Keval Gyan, and also can get liberated from there. So in Bharat Kshetra, where we are right now, we can achieve up to the, if you are a male, you can achieve monkhood. You can become a monk. You can achieve up to 7th stage. You cannot go beyond 7th stage right now. So that is the limitation of this 5th era. We are now in the 5th era. So these are the limitations. And when the 5th era ends, the religion will also come to an end. In the 6th era, there will be no religion of Jainism. It will be completely wiped out, and then there will be no monks, no Shravak, no Shravika, nothing. So we are fortunate to be there now in the 5th stage, and at least we have access to this religion, this dharma, this true God, through scriptures, and true Guru.
Rajeshji, did Gunacharya go to Mahavidya Kshetra?
Yeah, he had this special ability of, it is called Riddhi, and through that Riddhi he went to Mahavidya Kshetra, and from there he listened to the sermons of Simandar Paramatma, who is a Tirthankar right now also in Mahavidya Kshetra. And from Simandar Paramatma, he cleared his doubts, and then he came back to India here at Bharat Kshetra, and then he wrote all the 5 Paramadans. So the religion was on the it was on the verge of getting extinct, but Kunkund Acharya Dev came back from Mahavidya Kshetra and wrote these 5 scriptures and illuminated the path of liberation. So he's also called Kalikal Sarvagna. He's called a Kalikal Sarvagna because if he would not have been there, this path of illumination would have subsided or died down. But because of him, this path got illuminated again, and now it's still going on. And we are all very fortunate to have this access to this kind of scriptures and studies. And not only we have access to this, but we have developed an interest. And because of that, only we have joined this Paramagam Honors course. So we are possibly having the best of time, and we should make the most of these opportunities. So
I had a question.
Yes.
What exactly is the difference between the 13 Gunistan and 14 Gunistan?
So the duration of 14th Gunastan is very limited, only five vowels, not only vowels, but five letters that we need to. The duration is just that we just the monk who is in the 13th stage, when he reaches the 14th stage, he recites those five letters, and by the time that fifth one ends, the body gets evaporated just like camphor, and this soul becomes free of all types of karmas, and he attains the liberated stage, and that he reaches Siddh Sila, and there that is his permanent abode, and he remains there forever in the completely blissful state. So he has eliminated all the karmas, all the material karma, all the psychic karmas, and all the no karma or the quasi karma, all types of karma, dravya karma, bhav karma, and no karma. So he's got rid of all the karmas, he has got rid of the body, and he has got rid of all the impure sentiments in the 12th stage itself. So now he becomes a liberated soul.
Okay, so on the 13th stage, there are Arihantas, and then 14th stage, there are Siddhas, right?
Not Siddhas. Beyond 14th stage is Siddhas.
Non-14, okay.
14th is still with the body, and as I said, only by reciting those five letters, that their duration is the 14th stage, and then he gets liberated.
Okay.
So Siddhas are liberated soul, and they are above the 14th stage.
Okay.
Rajeshji, you mentioned that after the sixth era, religion will be lost. So when the cycle starts again, Jainism will come back into
after fifth
existence.
era, the sixth era is again of 21,000 years, and then the whole cycle will get reversed. So first sixth will come, then fifth will come. Both will be again 21,000 years. And when the fourth era will come back, then the path of liberation will begin. Then we will have again 24 Tirthankars here. And then again in the third stage, there will be no liberation. Second stage, there will be no liberation. First stage, there will be no liberation. First era, I mean. And then again, the cycle will reverse. So again, the first era will start, then second, then third, and then again fourth will come. There will be again religion at that time. So it is the fourth and the fifth stage that the religion exists, and all other eras there is no religion.
Like at least in the other religions, they are making efforts to preserve their religion. So are we doing something to preserve at least our scriptures?
Our religion is permanently preserved only. We cannot do anything regarding that. It's already preserved. What we can do is we can understand this religion and get ourselves liberated. That is the only responsibility of each of us. And for that, the journey begins with the right belief. And for right belief, you need to learn these facts from the scriptures. And when your transformation happens from an ignorant soul to an enlightened soul, that is the stage, the fourth stage, and from there the journey in the path of liberation begins. And then you travel that journey from fourth to 14th stage, and then you get liberated. Any other questions?
How many years left of the Pancham Kal?
So we are now in the 2600 years. So another 18,400 years are left in the fifth era.
That's substantial.
Yeah. So we are fortunate to have to be there in the first cycle of 3,000 years, because in the first cycle of 3,000 years of this fifth era, means there will be 3,000 years cycle, 3,000 years time frame. So we are in the first stage, you can say, of 3,000 years, and in the first stage there will be 64 souls who will get liberated in the next birth itself. From here they will go to Mahavideshetra, become a monk, and achieve omniscience knowledge and get liberated. It can be so fast. So next 3,000 years it will be 32 souls. The next 3,000 years it will be 12 souls. The next it will be 8, then 4, then 2. Last 3,000 years there will be 1 soul who will attain liberation in the next birth. Otherwise, also all other souls more or less will get liberated in 4 or 5 births, maximum 15 births, not beyond 15 births. So if you consider we are there since time immortal, there is no beginning of a soul. So this soul has taken infinite birth and death, infinite birth and death. So compared to that, even 4 birth or 15 birth is very, very little time frame. So we are very fortunate to have access to this kind of knowledge, and arriving at the correct decisions, we can also achieve right belief, and that's where we can start our journey right now.
Rajeshji, I've also heard that every 6 months about 500 souls attain liberation. So that's not true. It's more like
No,
32 souls.
it's absolutely true, but not right now from Bharat sector, there nobody gets liberated. So the exact figure is 608 souls in every 6 months and 8 time. Okay. So every 6 months, 608 souls definitely gets liberated, and 608 souls comes out of Nigodh. So
Okay.
this is eternal rule, and it keeps on happening. If people are not getting liberated from here right now, then people are getting liberated from Mahavideshetra. So the rule is quite valid and correct.
Okay. So, and there are other kshetras as well. It's not just Bharat and Mahavidya.
Yes, there is Airavat Kshetra, and there are Tirthankars there also. So path of liberation is open, from still open right now also from other spaces. Okay, so we conclude this and we move on to chapter number 6, the story of Raksha Bandhan. It's a very small story. So
Jai Jinendra sir, I had a doubt. So
yeah.
from here, from Bharat Kshetra, we
Hmm.
don't go to Airavat Kshetra. We only go to Mahavidya Kshetra.
May not be knowing the exact rule, and I don't know if there is a rule exist, but we can go from here to all the 4 state of existence. We can go to Mahavideshetra also. We can go to from this human life to subhuman life. Then we can go to hell also. We can go to heaven also being a celestial being. So all paths are open depending on the kind of manifestations that we do. We get accordingly. We bind karmas accordingly, and we get birth in all the. We can get birth in all the 4 stage of existence.
Yes. Right. Thank you.
So this lesson number 6, page number 25, Raksha Bandhan. It's there on the screen. So basically this story is about 3 Muniraj. One is Akampanacharya, then there is Vishnu Kumar Muniraj, and then there is Shrut Sagar Muniraj. So first we will see their story and why this festival of Raksha Bandhan is celebrated, and what is a true festival of Raksha Bandhan according to Jainism. All this are explained here, and we will see the character of the 3 monks, and then we will conclude who was the best among the 3. So listen to the story of all the 3 monks, and then I will ask you this question: okay, who was the best among the 3? So you need to give the answer and the logic behind your answer. So let's first read this story. And Malti ji, can you read from the screen?
Just a second. The teacher. Students are informed that the great festival of Raksha Bandhan falls tomorrow. On this day, the infliction of physical torture on Akampacharya and his 700 disciples was stopped. As such, this is a day of rejoicing for us. The school shall remain closed tomorrow on account of this. The student. Sir, who was Akampacharya? What sort of physical torture was inflicted upon him and how was it stopped? Please explain in brief. Teacher. Listen, Akampacharya was a Digambar monk. He had 700 disciples in his assembly of monks, and he was their acharya. Sri Varma was the king of Ujjain then. He had 4 ministers: Bali, Namuchi, Brahaspati, and Prahlad. When the king knew the arrival of the monks, he went there with all his peripherals, all his paraphernalia for their darshan. All the 4 ministers were with him. All the monks then were absorbed in contemplation. Therefore, there was no talk or discourse. The ministers had no faith in the Digambar monks. They therefore wanted to insinuate the king against them and told him that the silence of the monks was a sign of their foolishness and that it was a good instrument for hiding their ignorance. It was on account of this that the monk had kept silent. Monk Shrut Sagar was coming back after taking meals. Seeing him, one of his ministers called him an ox and entangled him in discussion. On his turn, the monk, by his strong reasoning, shattered their pride to pieces. Their sense of pride was hurt in the presence of the king. They departed from the place in silence, but all the 4 visited the spot in the night and raised their swords all together to attack the monk. But their hands, as if nailed, remained in that position only. When the king and the people learned all this in the morning, they arrived there. All offered their prayers to the monk, and the king exiled all the 4 ministers. Student, how did the particular monk stay on that spot in the night? He should have kept himself busy in meditation, where the whole company of monks was staying. Teacher, when he told the acharya of the discussion he had with the ministers, the acharya told him that he should not have indulged in any dialogue with them. Even when we offer milk to a snake, it transforms the milk into poison. Similarly, discussion with real, passionate, worldly-minded beings inflames the wrath only. The acharya also thought that the minister might inflict physical torture on the monk, and therefore he asked him to go to the spot and keep busy in contemplation throughout the night there. Student, then teacher, all the 4 ministers went to Hastinapur and began to serve King Padamrai. Having been pleased with them for some good achievement, he asked them to demand any gift whatsoever. They requested the king to bestow the gift on them on some other occasion, according to their convenience. Once Akampacharya with his 700 disciples arrived in Hastinapur, the four ministers demanded 7 days ruling powers from the king for themselves. Having assumed the right of governing the kingdom, they started inflicting severe tortures on the monks. Monk Vishnu Kumar, brother of King Padam Rai, who had accepted the order of monkhood before, saved the monks from this torture. Students, how did an armless monk, Vishnu Kumar, offer protection to the monks from the torture of strong and cruel administrators? Teacher, Vishnu Kumar had the power of assuming different forms and shapes. He left the order of monkhood and assumed the shape of a dwarf and reached the court of Bali. Bali asked him to demand any gift. He demanded 3 steps of land, the measure being his own feet. Then he assumed the form of a formidable human being and measured the whole land in 2 steps only. This way, he defeated Bali and saved the lives of the monks. That was the last day of the month of Shravan. The day began to be observed as Raksha Bandhan. Since then, lives of the saints were saved and Bali was put in chains. Student, can somebody in the role of a monk do all this? Teacher, no, you have not listened to the story with attention. I told you that Vishnu Kumarji had left monkhood and assumed the shape of a dwarf. All this was not befitting his position. Therefore, he offered repentance and got initiated into monkhood for the second time. Student, glory to monk Vishnu Kumar. Teacher, in fact, glorious were Akampacharya and his disciples who were not detracted from their spiritual state of contemplation in the face of inhuman torture inflicted upon them. Student, blessed is monk Shrutsagar, who shattered the pride of Bali and the other ministers in discussion. Teacher, his erudition of spiritual matters is praiseworthy, but he should not have entangled himself in discussion with those wicked ministers. Those who are engaged in the pursuit of their souls should not indulge in discussion with wicked people. Student, why so? So much trouble arose on account of such indulgence only. Therefore, one striving for self-realization should engage himself in metaphysical thinking, leaving aside all worldly affairs. That is the only way to emancipate from the bondage of worldly life.
So you see this story, how interesting it was, and the kind of ups and downs that went through Srutsagar Muniraj and Vishnu Kumar Muniraj and also Akampanacharya makes us to think that even if you become a monk, the challenges could be forthcoming. So you should be mentally prepared to take up all kinds of problems. In the present scenario, when we are right now living in houses, we are a householder right now, so we have more challenges. Monks have very limited challenges because they've already left the home and the corresponding attachment with their possessions, and he is devoid of all kind of possession, external and internal. So now his primary function is to just focus on the self. But as a householder, we have many challenges, and that's where the knowledge that we are acquiring will help us to navigate. Now, taking inspiration from this life of these 3 monks, having different, of course, different course of, like, everyone has his own exceptional qualities and skills, and the rise of the karmas are also different for different people. So how they manage this situations, and where they did a smart work and where they defaulted also, where they made mistakes, it is all there for us to learn. So among the three acharyas, which one would you consider to be the best? I would like answers from all of you, your opinion just by reading the story. And then, of course, we will discuss and conclude the final conclusions. So, Maltiji, according to you, who was the best?
Akampacharya, basically. Akampacharya and his disciples, because that was really huge torture that they were suffering, but they did
Hmm.
not get detracted and they believed in the God. They believed that because they are doing the right thing, nothing is going to happen to them. They had that confidence. I think that is true belief, right belief.
Okay. Anyone else who is differing from this opinion? Yeah, Nileshji.
I think all three have merit, but the thing is that the other two actually built their karmas, whereas this person managed to eliminate their karmas.
Okay.
So on the same line, but slightly different perspective.
Okay. So, Madhuji. Pratibhaji.
Well, I will say the best was Akampanacharya because he dedicated to his own spiritual knowledge and stick to it. I mean, Vishnu Kumar, on the other hand, I did think that he did really good too to save all the other monks. You know, that was his own sacrifice to live his monkhood and do that to save all the lives. But the best was the Kampanacharya that who didn't get, distracted with all these other things.
And what about Sudsagar Muniraj? He was such a scholar. He defeated those ministers in the arguments.
Well, he did defeated them. That was, he was brilliant, but that caused a lot of problems and the issues because he made all those ministers mad and they came back, tried to give them hard time. And because of that, Vishnu Kumar had to save all these other monks too.
Okay. Roshni ji.
I agree with Pratibhaji and Nileshji that I think Akampanacharya was the most
Okay.
noble one out of all three. And yeah, I agree that if Shrutsagar had not indulged in the discussion with the ministers, the torture would have been averted.
Okay. Hemali ji.
So I agree with everyone who said that, Akampanacharya and all of his 700 disciples, despite all of that happened, they did not waver from their spiritual journey and they continued on their spiritual journey. And
Right.
like someone else said earlier, that Vishnu Kumarji, I think he it's because of his karmas that he probably got out of monkhood and then he saved all of them and then he took initiation back into monkhood. So I think he was just he had to use up, or his karmas, um, he had to kind of live them by. But yes, I think Akampanacharya was, and his 700 monks were probably the highest.
Right. Samyak ji.
Yeah, I agree as well. I think because they weren't detracted from the spiritual journey, Akampanacharya would be the highest. And because the others had to waver from that, either by changing their form or arguing with the ministers, they would have to be lower down because their emotions and like they did rag or dvesh bhav. So that would have put them below a Kampanacharya.
Okay. Jia.
Yeah, I have similar points that a Kampanacharya, they're the, I mean, they're the best out of the three. Like what they did was the right thing, because yeah, they stayed to their monkhood compared to the others.
But Vishnu Kumar Muniraj saved the lives of 700 monks, you know. He would not have done then the kind of like they were being burned, you know. So he has also done a good job, you know.
But he gave into his, he gave into his karmas though. So that's,
He
I mean, he retracted from monkhood and
so
yeah.
leaving a highest post the and acquiring a lowest post is not the good thing for him, right? Although from the perspective of helping the sadharmis, okay, if we look at it from that perspective, then he has done a brilliant job. But leaving a higher stage of spiritual development and coming back to a lower stage just because there was the rise of feeling of attachment, you know, and because of that his spiritual stage fell from 6th and 7th to below that, and then only he was able to leave that post of monkhood, and he become a ordinary householder, and with that special qualities that he possessed, uh, and he exercised those uh, his talent, special qualities, and then he saved the lives of 700 Muniraj. So from that perspective, he has done a brilliant job, but it's not good to go to a lower stage from a higher stage. What would Madam May, what would you like to say? Your opinion?
I never thought about comparing three monks,
Okay.
but if you were to ask me which monk I like the most, by hearing this story, I was most impressed with the first monk, because although he made a mistake by discussing with evil people the religion, but he went back to the group, and his acharya told him no in advance, right? That those people will come back to the same spot. So the acharya told him, go back there and do your meditation and deal whatever that is going to happen. So the monk went back without fear, courageously go back there through the midnight and sit there meditating. So I was very impressed.
True, you have pointed out quite a good points. So from that perspective, if we see, so he was very brilliant. He was a very learned scholar also, and he has this power of, you know, winning arguments with others, and yeah, good things about Sudsagar Muniraj also. Shubhangi ji, I think you are the last one. What is your
Yes,
opinion?
sir, I believe that Accompanuchare was the uh, most good one, because he never feared the death, or he never had any more karma towards his disciples. Means the Shut Sagar ji had this more karma, that my fellow disciples will be tortured. So, but the Akampacharya, never feared that. So according to me, that was the right thing.
Okay. So we see that all the three monks have some good qualities in them. And if we look at from that perspective, they were good. But if we look at the overall picture, the things that has unfolded along with all the three monks, of course, Akampanacharya was the best because he remained firm in his decision. Even when Srutsagar, of course, Srutsagar Muniraj was very transparent. He came back and told everything to his Acharya, Akampanacharya. And that's how the monks are supposed to do. Every time they go out to take a meal, they come in touch with householder people. And they always have some memories coming back to them when they were not monks, and that disturbs them a bit. So when he comes back after taking a meal, he always goes to the Acharya and he tells everything just like a small kid, when he comes back to when he comes back to home from school, he tells everything to his mother that today this happened, that happened. So similarly, he also narrated the whole incident that he went through. And then Acharya Akampanacharya, he realized that these four ministers, they will be quite eager to take their revenge. And so they will attack the whole congregation. So it is best that only Srutsagar Muniraj go there and tackle those four ministers. And he was confident that he has such purity. The purity level of his was uh, from the purity level, he realized that he will be able to weather that situation and he will come out winner. So we told him to go there and stand there. And when they tried to attack him, uh, they were not able to attack him just because he was such a pure soul, and because of his purity and the auspicious karma that he had borne, he was saved. Uh, there are celestial beings who comes and does great things for the monks and other religious people. Uh, Sita, when Sita was asked to take that test of uh, walking on the fire, she knew about his purity, and so she was absolutely not worried, and the celestial beings, they came and saved his life there. So it is always, if you are pure, something good will come to your life. That is what one can make out from this story. So
Sir,
Srutsagar
I have a
Munir,
question.
yeah,
Sir, the first monk, the one who got engaged in the
Srutsagar
argument.
Muniraj, Srutsagar Muniraj,
Yes,
yeah.
Shrut Sagar. So, that no, not the Shrut Sagar Muniraj, the first one, Vishnu, no,
Akampanacharya.
mm, uh, no. Let me just read it again. Uh, the first one to get engaged. Yeah, it was Shrut Sagar Muniraj only.
Okay.
So yeah, uh, the one who got engaged in the argument. So is it not correct to give the knowledgeable to show the knowledgeable part to the others? So how it is considered wrong when he corrected
So
them?
there was this sentence here.
Hmm.
Uh, hmm. Yeah.
It's the last.
Similarly, the discussion with cruel, passionate, world-minded beings inflames their wrath only.
Oh.
So because of this, he should not have argued because they were all cruel, passionate. So you have to realize what kind of people are there before entering into any kind of arguments with them. He was already a knowledgeable scholar, so he was not there to prove anybody and his capabilities. But because he could not realize that a person who is already cruel, if we defeat them, his anger will rise more and they can inflict pain, and the whole congregation was at risk, no? So that's what happened because they were defeated, and king asked them to leave the court because of their behavior, and they were not believer of Jainism. So one should not enter into any kind of arguments or discussion with people of any other sects because everyone believes that their sect is the best. So they put forth their argument. But if they would have been with open mind, they would have accepted his arguments. But they were not open-minded, so their anger, on the contrary, increased. And because of that, there was a risk to the whole congregation if they come and attack him there. So he went there to the same place, and all the four ministers also came to attack him. And because of his purity, he was not anyway affected. And everyone came to know the purity of the monk because all those ministers who were planning to attack them, they were all positioned means just like a statue. They were motionless. They became motionless. They were not able to do anything. So that shows the kind of purity the Sudsagar Muniraj had and the kind of bravery that he shown. And because of that, he was appreciated and praised by all. And these four ministers were expelled from the court.
Sir, this is Himali here, sir. I have a question. It's just another way of thinking, maybe, but I wanted to ask you, would it be wrong to blame Sagar Ji Muniraj? Because maybe this was bound to happen. Maybe this was a test for all the other 700 monks that they probably had to kind of undergo. And Sagar Muniraj just became a nimit by getting into that discussion.
Yes, of course, they became a nimit. Even Vishnu Kumar Muniraj also became a nimit. So the question is not about that. Question is the conduct. We are thinking from the Charnan Yoga, from the perspective of a conduct. What should be the best practices that a monk should have? And even in the case of Vishnu Kumar Muniraj, he also left the monkhood, and that was not something good that he has done. So from the perspective of conduct, if we see, the primary function was to concentrate on the self, and leaving that function and doing other things is not advisable for any monk. And Akampanacharya, of course, he is the Acharya of the whole congregation, and he has the responsibility of managing the whole congregation. So any issues coming up, he is responsible and he should take the call what is to be done. So he took this call and he knew about Sudsagar Muniraj's confidence and purity. So he knew that he will come out winner from there and nothing will happen to him. So he was very disciplined Acharya Akampana, and so he sent Sudsagar Muniraj there. And regarding the torture that these 4 ministers were inflicting on the monks, 700 monks, and they were all very firm and determined in his meditation, so that even the act of 4 ministers attacking them by demanding the rule for 7 days from the king, even those pains and inflictations under that circumstances also, they never deviated from their sadhana or meditation that they were going through. And
Right, sir.
so they were very firm, And Vishnu Kumar Muniraj, of course, has done a good job as far as Sadharmik Vatsalya is concerned. He is appreciated from that perspective. But from his individual perspective, he should not have left monkhood and assumed the role of a householder. But nevertheless, we have to learn from each Muniraj what are the good qualities, and that's the whole story. Shows us different dimensions of the character of the Muniraj, and from there we learn good things. So we learn the kind of intellect and the argument power from Shrut Kumar Muniraj. We learn about Sadharmik Vatsalya. We should learn about Sadharmik Vatsalya from the householder Vishnu Kumar Muniraj. Okay, not Muniraj, is the householder because he has to leave this monk to assume that shape of a dwarf and save the lives of the 700 monks. So we should appreciate his Sadhamik Vatsalya, and we should appreciate the administrative skill of Akampanacharya and his meditation power. So all the Muniraj has something to teach us, and all have some good qualities in them, and we should always be selective in adapting good practices, and we should also avoid bad practices. So this is the conclusion that we take from this story. So there are some qualities worth praising, and there are some qualities not worth praising. So we should adapt the best practices and be like, a perfect saint, perfect monk. So in some cases, you have to act smart, not always act. So these are all the skills that Acharya has, the administrative skills. So when Ravan was killed, the next day, there were 56,000 monks at that particular place. And one Acharya under 56,000 monks, can you imagine how we would manage this whole congregation? So they have this firmness in them, they have this special administrative skills in them, and that's why they are made the acharyas of the congregation. And when they also wanted to get ahead in their spiritual journey, they leave this post of acharya, and this post is given to somebody else, and they become an ordinary monk, and then they pursue their act of meditation. So it is only the act of meditation that is the primary function of a monk, but acharyas and upadhyayas have some special responsibilities to perform. But when they also want to concentrate on the self, they leave this post and become an ordinary monk. And that is the only way to get liberated, So those who have got liberated so far, they all became a monk, and they all concentrated on the self and destroyed all the karmas and that's how they became liberated soul. They attained Siddhpad. So one should not indulge in any kind of other activities while becoming a monk. But because of the rise of the feeling of attachment for each, in the case of each monk, that they perform these special acts. So to concentrate on the self, meditate on the self is the best thing that we should do. Okay, so this story, anything else anyone would like to comment or understand? Otherwise, we'll move on to the next story, Jambu Swami. Another very good story. This is written by Pandit Rajmalji Pandey. He was also a great poet, and he is more famous for the Jambu Swami Charitra that he wrote and the commentary on, commentary on the Samaysar Kalash. So he is famous for both of these works, and there are some other things that he has written like Chando Vidya and Adhyatam Kamal Martand. Then he has also written Tattvat Sutra Tika and Panchadhyayi Tika. So commentaries on Panchadhyayi. So Pandit Rajmalji Pandey was here in the 17th century. So he completed the first biography of Jambu Swami in 1633 AD, after death of Christ. That is the common era that we call it right now. So he was a scholar from Rajasthan who dedicated their soul to the pursuit of literature commensurate with pursuit of the self. His chief residence was Vairat Nagar of Dhundahar state, and his mother tongue was Dhundari. He was also a great scholar of Sanskrit and Prakrit. He lived before Banarsi Das ji in the 17th century. He completed his first biography of Jambu Swami in 1633 AD. As such, he must have been born in the beginning of the 17th century. He possessed all-round scholarship. He was a poet, critic, scholar, orator, all rolled into one. Deep spiritual principles have been incorporated in his poetic works of a high order. So these are some of his works. This lesson is based on Jambu Swami Charitra. So Jambu Swami was the prince of a great businessman, a wealthy merchant of Rajgriha. His father's name was Arhat Das and his mother's name was Jinmati. He was there during the time of King Shrenik, and he occupied an important place in the court of King Shrenik. So many wealthy persons were ready to marry off their daughters to Jambu Kumar because he was such a brilliant person. But he was not inclined to get married. In fact, he wanted to become a monk. But his parents thought that once he gets married, he will get involved with the queens, and he might forget about renouncing the world. But Jambu Swami was very firm in his commitment, and he was very firm in his objective of his life. And even after getting married, he was not ready to enter the, act of a married life. So he was conversing with the queens. All the 4 queens got married to Jambuswami simultaneously. And they were talking, the first night after the marriage, Jambuswami was convincing about the path of liberation and why he wanted to become a monk and what is the best way to become happy in this life and how to realize our soul and how to concentrate on the self. And all the 4 queens were also very much interested in those talks. And there was one thief who was also come to, because he know that Jambu Kwame is married today, so there will be enough jewelries in the house. So he, along with his team of 500 thieves, came there to steal. But listening at the story, the conversation between the queens and the Prince Jambu Kumar, his mind also got converted and he also become a monk. There was a transformation in his life and he also become a Digambar monk. So the whole atmosphere, Jambu Swami also took to monkhood, and the 4 queens also became an Arjika. The parents of Jambu Kumar also got initiated into monkhood, and the whole atmosphere transpired with asceticism. So very interesting story. So let's first read the story and then we will have a discussion on this. So Hemali ji, no, not Hemali ji. Who else? Roshni ji.
Jambuswami, poet Pandit Rajmal Pandey. The name of Pandit Rajmalji is particularly remarkable amongst those scholars in Rajasthan who dedicated their souls to the pursuit of literature commensurate with pursuit of the self. His chief residence was Vairatnagar of Dundahar state, and his mother tongue was Dundari. He was also a great scholar of Sanskrit and Prakrit. He lived before Banarsi Das in the 17th century. He completed his first biography of Jambuswami in 1633 AD. As such, he must have been born in the beginning of the 17th century. He possessed all-round scholarship. He was a poet, critic, scholar, and orator, all rolled in one. Deep spiritual principles have been incorporated in his poetic works of a high order. Following of his works are available: Jambuswami Charitra, Chando Vidya, Adhyatma Kamal Martand, Tatvartha Sutra Tika, Samaisar Kalash, Balbodh Tika, Panchadhyayi. The lesson in hand is based on Jambuswami Charitra. Last Tirthankar, Lord Mahavir, was completely passionless and omniscient. Was there any other similar personality? Brother: yes. After Mahavir, Gautam Swami, Sudharmacharya, and Jambuswami were completely omniscient and passionless. The last omniscient of this era was Jambuswami. Sister: was Jambuswami also a prince like Mahavir Swami? Brother: no, sister. He was the son of a wealthy merchant of Rajgriha. His father was Aradas and mother Jinmati. He was born on the last day of the Falgun month. Jambu Kumar occupied an important place in the court of King Shrenik and the contemporary community. Many wealthy persons of the city wanted to offer their daughters to Jambu Kumar in marriage, and 4 such girls were already betrothed to him. But, sister, but what? Brother, but since childhood, he was strongly averse to worldly possessions. His mind used to be agitated for psychic happiness, and as such he declined to marry. Sister, declined? Abandoned relations after betrothal? Did not marry? Brother, he wished not to marry at all, but when the girls knew this, they decided to marry none other than Jambu Kumar, or otherwise to remain unmarried. Sister, then, brother, parents of Jambu Kumar and all the 4 girls requested Jambu Kumar not to refuse to marry. They allowed him to get initiated into monkhood after the marriage celebrations, because they knew that all the 4 beautiful girls will charm the mind of Jambu Kumar, and then he would forget to renounce the world. But, sister, what? Brother, Jambu Kumar agreed to marry, but he could not be attracted towards worldly sensual pleasures. Sister, did the marriage not materialize? Brother, marriage did take place, but just the next day, Jambu Kumar left home, family associations, wealth, and belongings, and all the 4 goddess-like wives, and got initiated in the order of Digambar monks. Sister, what were the names of his wives? Did they not persuade him not to join the order of the monks? Brother, they were Padamshri, Kamalshri, Vinayshri, and Roopshri. With their passionate gestures, good looks, service, and cleverness, they tried their level best to detain Jambu Kumar at home, but they could not move him, for he wanted to drink deep of the spiritual bliss by self-realization. Sister, it was all right. The feelings of attachments of the worldly people cannot influence the spiritually minded people. Rays of consciousness and asceticism are powerful enough to destroy attachments and ignorance. Brother, you are correct. His consciousness and asceticism influenced the thief Vidyut Chor, who had entered the house of Jambu Kumar that very night for stealing. He also accepted the order of Digambar saints after hearing the discussions of Jambu Kumar with his newly married wives and understanding his deep feelings of renunciation. Sister, what happened to those girls? Brother, they also broke themselves from the sensory pleasures of life, turned towards renunciation, and got initiated as she-monks of the Digambar Jain order. Jambu Kumar's parents also got initiated into monkhood. Thus, the whole atmosphere was permeated with asceticism. Monk Jambu Kumar engrossed himself deeply in spiritual contemplation. On the 7th day of the second half of Magh month, the day when his preceptor Sudharmacharya obtained complete liberation, he achieved omniscience. Sister, as with the days of liberation of Mahavir and the days of obtaining omniscience by Gautam, the day of liberation of Sudharmacharya and the day of achieving omniscience by Jambu Kumar are the same. Brother, after that, Jambu Swami preached the gospels of religion for 18 years, from Magad to Mathura, and ultimately he obtained the state of Nirvan from Chorasi Mathura.
So if you go to Mathura, there is a temple built after Jambu Swami, and very famous temple near the station only. And that was the place from where Jambu Swami got liberated, and he was the last one to get liberated, you know. No one further has got liberated. And because this is a special kind of 5th era, you know, Hunda Ausarpini Kal. So after many Ausarpinis and Utsarpinis, this type of time comes when we have somebody getting liberated in the 5th era also. Usually people never get liberated in the 5th era. They get liberated only on the 4th era only. But because of this exceptional, Even people got liberated in the 5th era, and Jambu Swami was the last of them. Another thing that was also very important is that just like Mahar Swami and his disciple Gautam Gandhar, the day Mahavir Swami got liberated, Gautam Gandhar got omniscient knowledge. Similarly, Sudharmacharya was the guru of Jambu Kumar ji, and the day the Sudharmacharya got liberated, Jambu Swami got omniscient knowledge. So after getting that knowledge, he spread the religion of Jainism for 18 years. He preached the gospels of religion for 18 years from Magad to Madura, that belt only. And then he obtained the state of liberation from Mathura itself. So you see how interesting this story was. On one side, he got married, and on the same day, he wanted to go and become a monk. So such a polarization of the emotions a person goes through. And the best part of this whole story was the kind of determination, okay, that Jambu Swami had, that in spite of the 4 beautiful queens that he got married, and they were just like goddess, and they were so good. But still, he was very firm in his commitment, and this particular line, the most important line in this whole chapter, the feelings of attachment, page number 31, second last paragraph. Yeah. Sister, it was all right. The feelings of attachment of the worldly people cannot influence the spiritually minded people. So this line is very important. In Hindi, it is called रागियों का राग ज्ञानियों को क्या प्रभावित करेगा, है ना? So the feelings of attachment of the worldly people, so worldly people would always like to drag you, into the not allowing you to enter the path of liberation. But the one who is very determined, like Mahavir Swami was also very determined, and he never got married. There were proposals coming, and his parents were also pressing him to get married, but he never got married. And similarly, Jambu Swami, although he got married because his parents insisted, but he was very clear that I want to get into monkhood and enjoy the eternal bliss, So there are limitations of a householder, but when you become a monk, the opportunities are unlimited. So he was very firm, and even the queens tried to influence him, but he was not the one who got easily convinced or influenced by anybody. So rays of consciousness means rays of knowledge and asceticism, vairagya, jnana or vairagya, are powerful enough to destroy attachments and ignorance. So even if we want to destroy our attachments and ignorance, then we need to upgrade our knowledge and asceticism. So what was the best part that you like about this story? Can anyone give their opinion?
he could overcome all temptations and remain focused on his journey towards focus on his own inner self, and also motivate other people.
Okay.
He was so influential that he could motivate other people also to attain, to go towards the right path of liberation.
Very good. Anyone else?
So I think this is Himali, the family. So I think in this story there are several layers, there are all kinds of people. There is someone who's determined right from the start that he wants to take the higher spiritual path. Then there are, four women who we see who, only want to be with someone and be in, attached to worldly pleasures with him. Then there's also a thief, interestingly, who is probably, having probably at the lowest level of the spiritual order. And all of these people, at whatever stage they are, they kind of, are elevated through what Jambu Swamiji is saying to take up a higher path. So, I think this story has many layers to it and all kinds of people, and it's trying to tell us that at whatever stage you are, you can also kind of elevate yourself to, that higher stage.
Right.
And also, we learn that, like Jambu Swamiji, you have to be determined to stay there.
Right. So the challenges will come. Now we discuss something at our level. So we all have challenges in our life, even every now and then you see that something goes not according to our plan, and that point of time we get either mentally disturbed or we may react out of it, so but if you are firm in your determination and you have a clear-cut vision of what you want to do in life, then even whatever the level of challenges are there, you will never get tempted or deviated from your path. So that is the main teachings that we take from this story of Jambu Swami. And the best part is that he was so calm and relaxed. Even after getting married, he never thought that once I get married, they will convince me and they are four and I am only one. But he knew it that what he wanted to do in life, and he also explained it to this thing to their parents. But even they thought that our daughters will be able to convince him, and they were all very talented and good looking, so they thought ki definitely Jambu Kumar will be convinced to leave the idea of getting initiated into monkhood and live a householder's life. But all were surprised, and the kind of determination he showed and the kind of conversation that he had with the four queens, and they also all got convinced, and they also became a she monk. And the thief also would come to take the jewelries and other things from the house. He also listened to this conversation, and his heart also melted, and he also become a Digambar monk. So in those days, people were very simple, they were very open to uh, get good things in life, and open to change their decision for the better. So people were simple. Nowadays, it's very difficult. Even if you decide that you want to do course, there will be some other things coming up, to not allowing you to attend these classes or continue with this course, and that we have seen quite a lot. I know somebody who had registered for 5 continuous years from 2019 onwards. He used to register every year, and then subsequently he used to attend a few class, and then he would leave the course. Then again next year again, because we have all this database with us, so every year in the month of September, October, we send them messages that if you want to join, batches are starting. So again he joined, and I was surprised that after 5 years, now again he has joined, and now he's continuing, at least for the time being. So everyone doesn't get this kind of opportunities every now and then. So at our level, we will also have some challenges in our life coming up. But the best part would be that not getting influenced by those issues, and at least 2 hours a week you can always spend for your own development. And if you are able to manifest this right belief, right knowledge, and right conduct, our path of liberation will begin. And once we get liberated, there will be no birth and death. So enjoying continuously eternal bliss. So, and primarily this is the objective of every soul in this universe, to get happiness. And permanent happiness is something that you get only when you get liberated. So understanding the concepts and the principles that are being taught here, and then practicing on this, and coming to a decision on this is very important. And it is the decision making power that you develop here will come in good stead when you have some challenges in your life. So you will always have 2 paths, one taking you ahead in the path of liberation, and the other path, of course, dragging you from the path of liberation. So to take that call and move ahead in the path of liberation is really challenging, but with proper guidance and proper teachings, proper studies, you can easily take this decision, So getting into the path of liberation should be our primary focus, and the ultimate focus is getting liberated at all. So keeping in mind our immediate target and the ultimate target, we have to act upon, and our action will only determine our destiny. So Jambu Swami was very determined, and from this story, we only take this inspiration that we should also be very determined in our life. So the life may throw us different kinds of challenges, but if we are firm in our commitment and decision, then nobody can deviate us from our path of happiness, our path of liberation, and ultimately getting liberated. So this was all from Jambu Swami, and the chapter of 7 fundamentals, that is the most important of all the topics of this Vitrag Vigyan 1, and that is, we are going to take the last one. So by that time, other chapters we will cover up. If you have any questions, and once I get a final list of who are continuing with the syllabus, I'll be sending you topics for Gandhar Mulyankan. So Gandhar Mulyankan is a summary that you have make on a particular topic assigned to you, and you have to summarize within 5 minutes. So already we had some discussion today in the 2 chapters of Jambu Swami. In fact, I'm going to have discussion in every chapter now, henceforth, so that will open you a bit, and when you really present the summary of the Gandhar Mulyankan, you are quite confident. So you will be assigned each one will be assigned one topic, and I will take topics from some of the topics from Balbodh also, which were all very good. So combined with Balbodh 1 and with this Vitrag, not only one, Balbodh 1, 2, 3 and Vitrag Vigyan 1, you will be allotted topics. Okay, so once the poll is complete, I will assign you, and the team leader also has to create an account on Moodle app, your ID in Moodle app. So for that also we need to have a final list who wants to continue with the course. So I think most of you have already exercised your poll, but I would request others to exercise their poll. Even if it is negative, I don't mind, but at least you complete the poll so we have clarity on who is continuing and we can get ahead in the course. So this was all about today, and our time is also over. So we'll meet up next week, and by the time I'll be also allotting you the topics, and we'll be doing this Gandhar Mulyankan exercise in the class itself.
Oh,
And you have to just be prepared. Okay.
this will be oral.
This will be oral, right? And within 5 minutes, you have to complete that.
Oh.
And you can write it down and then you can read it from that also. It is not that you have to memorize something. But something, if you are given a story like this, Jambu Swami or Vishnu Kumar Muriraj, then you can have bullet points with you and you can discuss on those also. And everyone is requested to put it in a point form, you make bullet points on your own on the topics, and then you just read through those points.
So I did not attend the Balbodh course. So should I do the course before this?
Yeah. You can just go through the recordings. There were 11 classes in all, and you can have one recording at a time. So it
So
will be
where
nice.
do I
It will be nice because some of the topics, if it's not a part of the syllabus of the exam, but still there are some fundamental good topics in that, and which we are not covering anywhere else. So it will be better if you just go through Balbodh. You can do one thing. You can just read through the textbook, and the one which you find interesting, you can listen to the recordings.
So where are the recordings?
I'll send you the link, and you can access those recordings from there also. Okay.
Actually, on the WhatsApp, on the class WhatsApp, the links there, all the links to previous lectures are there.
Okay.
Oh, the YouTube ones, is it?
Yeah, all are in YouTube, and I'll
Okay.
still send you this link so that you don't have to find here and there, So these are Balbodh, and that's of course optional. You can just go through it. Otherwise, I will assign you topics from Vitrag Vigyan 1 also. So who has not attended Balbodh?
So I have not. I'm Himali.
Okay, and who else?
I've done half of it, I had to give up last year.
Acha, Nilesh ji, okay?
That's right.
Okay, 2 people. Rest of you have gone through Balbodh, okay. So you just go through the textbook first, okay? And whatever you find difficult to understand, or what you feel that it is important, then only you switch on the recordings. So I think only 2-3 recordings. One chapter of 6 substances is important, and another chapter of substance, attributes, and modification. These two chapters are the most important. Rest you can just read from the textbook and manage. And still, if you have any questions, you can ask me personally also. I'll explain you. Okay. So that's all. निज निधि निज में बताई, यह अनंत उपकार है, उसके लिए जिन वाणी माँ को वंदना सत बार है, उसके लिए जिन वाणी माँ को वंदना सत बार है। 9 बार नौकार मंत्र गिनेंगे। जय जिनेन्द्र।